I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen. His website, thegoldandOilGuy.com. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim.
Did the markets react at all to the North Korean missile sent over Hokkaido, Japan?
Yeah, well, they sure did. You know, yesterday ended up being a fairly strong day for the equities market because they were trading lower and recovered right into the closing bell. But once regular trading hours closed and we had that event take place, we saw the equities market crash and we saw the VIX spike up with lots of fear. Obviously, there's always fear when there's missile strikes or missiles being fired across the sky. And, of course, we saw safe havens take off, gold, silver, bonds in overnight trading. So, yeah, there's a lot of fear, a lot of kind of panic that hit the market. And, you know, we've been looking for some type of reversal in the equities market, some type of either exhaustion move to the downside that flushes the market out, and for metals to have a final kind of blow off top. And we've been talking about it for several weeks and just kind of waiting for this to unfold with our time cycles. And I have a feeling that event and today's price action is just that. We're seeing a major reversal bottom in stocks, and we're seeing a reversal top in precious metals, which goes against, I think, the average investor's sentiment and feeling, which is bearish stocks and bullish on metals right now.
Any metals in particular?
You know, I think that the nicest looking kind of reversal chart, if you ask me, is actually the chart of gold. You look at gold, it had a huge pop yesterday, kind of a big short squeeze, and then today, or this morning, we saw gold continue to run up, and right at this point, it's selling right back off to have a major reversal candle that points to, you know, quite a bit lower prices going forward over the next week or so. So, going from this point forward, I think we could see lower metals, lower stocks, and I like the gold chart the best for a reversal pattern just because it's very clean looking, and so is actually the miners chart. Looks fairly bearish as well for a significant top here. We should see a pullback for several days at this point.
Gold miners?
Yeah, gold mining stocks. Even silver mining stocks. There's the ETF. SIL is the symbol for the silver mining stocks, and it actually trades really nicely. Doesn't have a ton of volume typically traded, but the chart looks very bearish with today's reversal pattern, and they move together. Gold and silver miners pretty much move in sync.
And for once, would silver be a better bet, or would you stick with gold? Silver's a little bit. Silver usually moves more on a percentage basis. I like the gold setup better at this point, just the way gold has climbed this wall of worry and has broken above a significant previous high from more or less back in June, so a couple months ago. So I think there's more downside potential and a cleaner move to the downside on gold than there is on silver. So that's where I'm kind of leaning right now, is the gold side of things. Was the resistance point for gold $1,300, and now it's gone past that? Can we see even more of an increase?
Yeah, well, gold, it tried to break above that 1,300, which it did about a week and a half ago, but it sold back down by the end of the day to close below that level. And 1,300 is a whole number, meaning it's a nice round number where investors or traders say, if it hits 1,300, I'm going to sell my position and lock in profits. Or you have another batch of traders that say, if it hits 1,300, I'm going to short sell so I can profit from it falling back down once it hits that resistance level. And what happened yesterday was we actually saw gold for the first time in several months close above that $1,300 barrel or $1,300 per ounce mark. And of course,
a lot of investors wait to near the closing bell, and we saw a nice short squeeze and surge up in gold there, with everybody piling in, covering their short positions, because once it closes above 1,300, you don't really want to stay short because you don't know how far that big rally could take place. Now coming forward to today, we had an event happen which happens to be with a time cycle top, with an equity cycle bottoming forming, and the gold chart has got a reversal candle. So it looks like it was a big kind of exhaustion pop above 1,300, created a short squeeze, everybody covering their shorts, getting everyone short out of the market, getting a ton of people bullish on gold, and now it's going to reverse and crash, and everyone who was in position a day and a half ago is now going to miss the ride that they've been kind of waiting for more or less a month or so in price. So this is how the market likes to do it. We'll see if it will follow through with this and catch most investors off guard, which it typically does. So I am anticipating lower prices, and I think this is really a head fake. It's shaking a lot of traders out, and they're all becoming bullish on gold, while I think it's turning bearish.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after the break.
I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
Glance Technologies owns and operates Glance Pay, a disruptive mobile payment technology now live in 16 cities in Canada and about to launch in the U.S. With revenues up 664% in the last quarter, Glance Technologies has the potential to be a worldwide leader in an industry projected to grow to $1.3 trillion in 3 years. Glance Technologies stock symbols are GLNFF in the U.S. and GET in Canada. Find out more at glancepay.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Chris Vermeulen. What do you see happening with crude oil, and what will the effect of the hurricane on the Gulf Coast be?
Yeah, crude oil has been in a bearish stage since more or less the first day of August, where it had a big sell-off right from a measured resistance level that we had. Currently, it's trading at $46.50 per barrel. I still have it moving all the way down to $44.50 per barrel, so we could still fall another $2 per barrel at this point. Obviously, hurricane in the Gulf Coast could add some upward buying pressure to it, but the technicals on the chart are still pointing to lower prices. And, one of the other big things I think playing into this is what the U.S. dollar is doing. It's been weak the last week and a half, moving lower, but it had a big gap down this morning, and it's having a strong rally back up, and it could be just enough for this could be another little reversal point where we see the U.S. dollar actually have a strong rally and come back up, because what it's done yesterday and today is it's broken the 2016 low that we saw back in May, and the market loves to do this, break to a nominal new low, so it just falls below a previous low where it is going to trigger a lot of people's stop orders, meaning they get stopped out from their long positions, and the market loves to do this. And then the next day you get a big gap down because all these stop orders get triggered at the open today, which it did, and it forces the price to open lower, and then the market rallies and reverses without all those shorts on board. It's pretty much the exact flip story to what we're seeing in gold, where gold is doing this to short traders, oil is doing this to long traders, getting them out of the position before it makes the move. And I think we're very close to seeing the dollar rally, and for crude oil itself to have, it's going to have a final flush down low here and continue to fall going forward.
Is that bad news for the Canadian dollar?
It is, yeah. Weaker crude oil definitely hurts the loonie. We're very crude related and energy resource related, so a strong dollar will definitely put some pressure on the loonie, and falling oil also adds more pressure to a declining loonie at this point too.
The Alberta government downgraded their expectation on how much money they would make from oil. It used to be $55 a barrel. Now they've put it down to $49. Is that still too optimistic?
I think it is. I think, crude oil's got a lot of work to do. It's still in a major basing formation. It could very easily, we talked about this, I think, even last year, talked about how crude oil is probably going to stay in a range between that $60 and all the way down to that $26 per barrel level. It could stay down here for years, and here we are a year later. It's still trading in the middle of that range, and it could continue to lag and trade down here, down between 50 and 40, maybe into the low or the high 30s for, another year. It's in a major formation that could take years for it to slowly unwind, and with electric cars and solar and all these different energy sources being used, it definitely puts some more downward pressure on crude oil going forward for its long-term future, really.
Should Alberta be putting out solar panels instead of hoping for the oil patch to come out?
I'm all about clean energy versus, completely stealing from the earth and all the negative impact that has. I'm all about wind and solar energy, though I don't know the real long-term effects that has on nature. I know there are some definitely drawbacks for solar and wind, and it has to be done in certain areas. I think Tesla, more or less, or not Tesla, but Elon Musk has kind of got it figured out with his giant areas he's looking to plot in the middle of no man's land where there isn't a lot of wildlife. And, if he can do those two patches way down in the Texas area, I think that is the ideal solution. If Canada has a spot like that, then, by all means, why shouldn't we be having a massive solar fields across the provinces, or certain provinces that would cater to it best without too much effect on the wildlife.
Well, too, I would say the prairies, the wind never stops blowing if you're in Regina.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And as long as you put ultraviolet reflectors on your wind turbines so birds can see them, and little things to make squeaky noises that bats can hear so they don't run into them, those seem to be the two major concerns, birds and bats.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm surprised. I guess bats could have the problem, but typically they kind of work off of echo location. So you kind of think they more or less hear or see a prop coming. But I get the point. I know there is definitely some problem with wildlife and the windmills and birds, because we have a lot where we are, windmills that is, and a lot of farmers are complaining about a bird problem and how it's killing a lot of birds. So obviously something needs to be done to help reduce that.
Oh, the problem with the bats is they know where the propellers are, except that the change in air pressure blows up their lungs because they don't have the little sacs in their lungs that humans have. They just have one single sac, and the pressure kills them.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, we have areoli, and they don't. For all you bat people out there, you're okay. It's the poor little bat guys that have a problem with it. We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
Lotus Ventures Inc. is a BC-based medical marijuana company poised to launch into the rapidly evolving cannabis sector. Lotus is in the final review stage of the Health Canada approvals to become a licensed producer, having arranged facility financing of up to $12 million, plus building permits for its prototype indoor production facility. Shares trade under the symbol J on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Visit our website at lotusventures.ca.
Keep informed. Receive our weekly recap of thought-provoking articles, podcasts, and radio delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage, HowStreet.com. Welcome back. We're chatting with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, should people be looking at lumber shares? They're going to have to rebuild Houston, a huge project that's going to take several years to do. Plus, you have these softwood duties that the U.S. now says it'll make its final decision on in November. Is this a time to stock up on lumber stocks?
It makes sense. If there's going to be a massive rebuild, it's going to definitely put a huge strain on the supply of lumber. And lumber's had a really nice run since more or less the middle of 2015. It's had a very strong run up. It hit the $400 mark on the long-term chart that it hit once back in 2013, and it's been forming a nice bullish formation, a bull flag formation. So it could very easily explode and run to the upside, and we could see potentially it reach that $500 mark. At this point, it's more or less hit resistance, and it's kind of in no man's land. It's in a consolidation mode, but if it starts to break above that $400 mark, it could be off to the races to reach $500 very quickly, and obviously a major rebuild. Now, there'll be probably a big lag in that. I would think there'll be another month or so lag before we probably see that really start to get factored in, but I would anticipate it will strengthen with all the demand required there.
Plus, you're going to have a shortage of supply from British Columbia with a record-setting forest fire year.
Yeah, good point, for sure.
An area larger than Prince Edward Island is burned.
Wow, I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah. It's huge. And it continues. There's no sign of rain in the near forecast at all.
Yeah.
And the Vancouver area is being visited by smoke again, which would copper also be in strong demand if they have to replace a lot of equipment and so on in the Houston area?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Copper's already had a really nice run. It's actually been running for the last couple of months to the upside, and it's actually just hit a level where it's probably going to plateau for a little bit, but overall there will be a ton of copper in the rebuilding, and I could definitely see that continuing to move up just because it is in a strong uptrend at this point. I think it's got a very strong kind of bottom that it put in the market between 2015 and late 2016. I think it's put in a very strong bottom, and we could see it rally significantly, potentially 33% from where we're at, pretty much. We could see right now it's trading around $3. We could see it go all the way up to about $4, which is a high that we saw back in 2011, 2012. So there's good potential for copper. It's put in a long-term basing formation. It's broken out of it. It's got high momentum, and I think it could definitely continue to carry on in the long run over the next 6-8 months up into that $4 level.
And of course, China has told us that their quarterly growth was 6.9%, which they predicted it would be a year ago.
Yeah, okay.
As of course, China always meets their growth goals.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really trust a whole lot out of China. It's kind of no man's land, and it's kind of cowboys and Indians. Anything kind of goes back over there, it seems.
Yes, and they continue to arrest people in their statistics department for pre-releasing data to certain companies.
I could see that being a major issue.
Chris, always fun chatting with you.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Jim. Greatly appreciate it.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen, his website, thegoldandoilguy.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Net. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. If you have comments or questions for the show, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.